This is a bit of an unusual one. The previous unboxing for case videos have been for like Lian Li funky trademark cases. This has recently appeared. A customer bought this. It's a Montech XR. It's about 60 quid, which is a lot less than 260. So let's just have a quick look. And there's one thing that I really want that I really got excited about, which is why I made this video. So yeah, I'll just get it out of the box, and then to speed things up, we'll have a quick look at what I'm talking about. All right, so just hang on a sec. So there it is, out the box. I've done a little bit of, fiddling with it to make it a bit more sort of quick review friendly. And it's actually quite nice looking, isn't it? At the front of it, I'll unclip the GoPro and we'll have a bit of a closer look. So at the front, you've got it's actually not easy to see that, is it? At the front, you've got a power button, a reset button, a hard drive LED, power LED, and then you've got a microphone, headphones, 2 USB 3, and a Type C USB 3. See that? That's pretty cool, I think. Tempered glass front panel. Tempered glass side panel. Rear is fairly standard. On this side you've got a big vent there, because inside it comes with 3 fans, 2 fitted there and 1 fitted at the back. So I'll put the camera back and we'll have a closer look at that. So let's take the back off, get the screwdriver out, and we'll have a look at what's inside. It's your standard sort of shroud arrangement. There's 2 screws there. They're sort of captive, so they're not captive in they've got a smooth bit on them, but they're captive in that they don't come out of the thing. So I just give that a pull and that's it out, and you can see the screws sort of stay in there. And how you can see that the screws sort of stay in like that. So that's, yeah, okay, that's good. And that came off really easily. Oh, I forgot to mention, on one side there you've got a magnetic dust filter. So there is a dust filter on there. See that dust filter? So that's 1 dust filter. We'll do a dust filter count. So there's 1 dust filter there. You've also got 1 on the top, so that's 2. And there's also 1 lurking down here on the bottom. So you've got 3, comes with 3 dust filters, and they're the usual mesh with the little magnetic strips. They're very handy for filtering out the dust, but you've just got to remember that they're there. Because if you pick it up with the it slides, and that could be expensive. So I tend to remove them until they're, until everything's finished. But anyway, so let's look at the internal connectors for it. So what we've got here are sort of the usual fare. There's the front panel one. So the front panel comes pre-wired to the standard, presumably, well, originally it's Intel, isn't it, to the standard Intel designation. You don't get the opportunity to rewire that, which is kind of interesting. So you've just got to assume that they put it in right, which, it's a convention. So they have. There's a USB 3.2, USB 3.2 Gen 2. And it's a ribbon, quite a flexible ribbon, which is going to be quite good for poking it through and getting it tidy, so I quite like that. There's also the standard USB 3, single header, 2 wires, because there's 2 ports at the front. That again is a ribbony sort of stuff. It's very flexible, so you can tidy that up and, you know, route it much more easily than the sort of thicker round tubular sort of cable. And then there's another one here which is going to be for the front panel audio, so HD audio. Because it's got HD audio written on it, it complies to that HD audio standard, because the pinouts for that are, you know, they're well defined. So that's what you get there. There's also down the bottom here, there's a drive bay. You can unscrew it from the bottom and lift it out, and then you screw the, well, actually you can, yeah, if you want to actually attach the drives in fully, you've got to turn it upside down and take that tray out. So there is a tray down there, and it says hard drive SSD. It's SSD because you've got a 3.5 inch bit at the bottom, and then the top has got hole mounting holes for 2.5 inch. And there's also, and if you spotted it, there's also a mounting plate here for 2.5 inch SSDs as well. So drive, yeah, as we're moving towards M.2s a lot more, that's 1, 2, 3. That's probably about right, isn't it? Well, it's what you've got. And obviously, because the power supply goes there, you can't fit a lot else in there. There are some little mounting things here, which kind of suggests that you can move this along a bit if you need a bit of space. So that is adjustable in the correct sense of the word, but not in a, you know, don't get too excited about how adjustable it is. So let's go around the front and have a look. There are some wires trailing out here, so I'll just have a look at those. These are the fans. Now, what you might have noticed, and I hope you did notice it, and why I'm actually quite excited about this case, irrationally, is that these 2 fans here, the internal side fans, say reverse on them. And I chuffing love reverse blade fans. I just, it just gets me. It just gets me. They are, yeah. I can't really articulate my feelings for them, but they are not normal. I get very excited about it because they are so, aesthetically, they are so much better, and it's just brilliant that not only was it thought of, but also it's implemented. And this is a £60 case, 59 quid, something like that, and it's got 2 reverse blade fans fitted to it, and they're ARGB, 3-pin ARGB. So they've both got one of the, well, they're all ARGB. So you've got an ARGB cable for all of the fans, right? There's a lot of cables in the so you get their ARGB. Also, the fan headers, the fan cables have got pass-throughs on them. So it doesn't really matter what motherboard you put in there, because obviously it needs to have at least 3 fan headers, which, you know, you're looking at £100 plus motherboard to do that usually. But if you've only got, you can daisy chain them up, because there are, no, it's got, it's like, that's just joyous, isn't it? So you've got 3 fans, 2 of which are reverse blade, all of which are ARGB, all of which have pass-through on their cables for 60 quid. Brilliant. Right, that begs the question now, how do we get everything out? Well, there is a conspicuous looking little lug there, and I don't see any screws, so I'm just going to chance it and press that like that. There's actually a little dip in there as well where you can get your finger in, so I'm just going to push that and see what happens. And it pops. And it comes off, and it's got little, I don't know how well you can see that, but it's got little lips on there that tuck in. So the panel sort of pops out. Then they do supply spare, obviously they've been watching what Leanne Lee have been doing, because these are the kind of clips that Leanne Lee put in their cases. And Leanne Lee supply a few spares as well. There are a couple of spares with this. So these are your plastic popper things, so they're anticipating that they might break, which they probably will. And inside here you've got basically a mesh sort of shroud so you get a bit of airflow there. There is a conspicuous hole there. Presumably that's so you can poke the power for the graphics card through, or something. Just seems a bit conspicuous, that big hole there. So you got one fan there, one fan there, one fan at the back. Their reverse blade. That's a standard fan. That's fantastic. I'm going to push the front, see what happens with that. That pops off as well. Similar sort of thing with the little lugs on it. So similar sort of deal with that. Also similar thing with the little plastic clip things. Now they're a little, I mean the finish is quite, it's a little bit ding, well it's not bent is it? It's just because the way they've manufactured it. There's no support strut. So you don't get any support strut there. So you've got to be a little bit careful with the front, well you've got to be a little bit careful anyway, because even with the panels on, they're not screwed in. So what's supporting it are the lugs and the plastic sort of holes that they clip into, the plastic clips. So you can't really put any load on that. Wow. So, and obviously for working in it, 60 quid? What? Yeah, by the look of it, it can handle ATX boards because it's got the necessary mounting things already fitted. So it's a full ATX case. You can put a radiator there. I'll put a link to the product page on the manufacturer's website so you can get an idea of you know, you can, I'm not going to just recite the specs because there's no point in doing that. What I was particularly fascinated by was the fact that it's got the reverse blades, because reverse blades is everything. Once the machine's sort of up and running, we'll have a look at what the LEDs are like and what you can do with them and what's compatible. But okay, so that's kind of like the unboxing. I haven't bothered with all the accessories. You do get some quite long screws with it. So for rad mounting, so that's quite a nice little touch. But I was just excited about the reverse blades, so sorry about that. Hopefully by not lifting everything out and cutting tape, that's made this a bit faster. But obviously if you prefer that kind of video, then that's generally what I make. But I was a bit too excited about these fans and the fact it's only 60 quid. So anyway, liking and subscribing is appreciated. If you found this video useful, then that's what you should do. You can leave a comment. I always reply to comments generally, and I hope this video has been helpful to you. Thanks for watching. Right, so I said I'd do a video of the finished PC, and so here it is. A bit of a story to it, which I'll explain briefly. It's got no graphics card in because the one they chose doesn't work with UEFI BIOSes. So anyway, that's why it hasn't got a graphics card in it. But you can see that the actual fans, I'll just zoom in on them. The fans are really nice. They're really nice, and this is a Thermaltake ARGB cooler. I'm not quite sure what the model is. The customer bought these parts and then had a nightmare with them and brought them in for me to play with. But the actual LEDs, I mean, that's a different fan to the case fans, and the actual colour matches, doesn't it? It's really rather nice. And these are reverse blade. So I'm like, yes, reverse blade. So these are actually quite good. I'm extremely impressed. I mean, for a 60 quid case, it's brilliant. So, yeah, the only thing you have got to watch is if you try and pick it up using with the magnetic mesh things on, you can have a bit of a surprise. So try and avoid that. But I forgot to mention sort of the accessories. Now, they didn't supply me with the manual when they brought the thing in for me to sort of assemble and build. So we haven't got the manual. But to be honest, I didn't use the manual. I didn't need it. Everything seems to be reasonably self-explanatory. As I'll show you in the sort of unboxing, have a look part of this, the start of this video, the panels just pop off. But I didn't do the accessories. So if I flip this down here, you can see I've got the accessories here to look at. Weirdly, but also brilliantly, they include a little sort of felt lens cleaner thing, kind of things you get used to. Well, it depends if you wear glasses and you're of a certain age, or even if you're not, if you wear glasses, sometimes you get one of these in the box with the new glasses, don't you? Like a lens cleaning cloth. So they've included one of those, which is like, wow. Okay, cool. You get 2 Velcro strap things, which no one ever uses, I don't think. Here's something else that's a bit weird as well. Well, it's 2 things. You get a hex bolt screw adapter. So that little circular thing, which I'm not showing you very well, that little circular thing there, you put that on your screwdriver because it's got a fillets bit on the end, and then that's what you use to put in your 5mm hex. So yeah, so if this is your first sort of build and you haven't got an endless arrangement of tools like some people have, including that is great. Although when I was putting it together, I did notice that the hex bolts that were pre-fitted were actually quite well. They weren't loose. They screwed them in well. And you also might have noticed there's actually a little piezoelectric speaker as well, which is also pretty brilliant. So the thing will beep at you. So those 2 things, the screwdriver adapter for hex bolts and the speaker, are not usually included. In fact, those 3 things, add to the cloth, that's what you don't normally get with a case. So it's quite nice to see that. You get a little collection of cable ties. So again, if you're not a PC sort of enthusiast and you haven't got a massive drawer of cable ties, they give you some cable ties to have a little play with. So that's kind of nice. You also get a couple of, I've always been watching Leanne Lee, you get a couple of the replacement plastic clips, because the glass side panels on the front and the side have got little knobbly bits on, and they go into these plastic clips. So they're obviously anticipating that you might at some point break them, so they give you 2 spare ones. And they also give you a whole collection of screws. Now it's the usual ones, 2.5-inch hard drive ones. You get, they call them PSU screws, but it's the sort of bigger thread screws, which normally you use for cases or for the expansion bays at the back there. I'm pointing to it, but you can't see it, so I'll flip the camera up. So those sort of expansion bay screws there, those sort of things, they tend to be the bigger chunky ones. But you get a whole load of, they call them motherboard SSD. So 2.5-inch SSDs use the fine thread, and you also have those fine thread screws for the motherboard. The actual SSD, which is fitted, is installed on its little mounting bracket. There's one mounting bracket, as I pointed out. There are some flat screws for those, which obviously are being used. So they were in, that's why it says motherboard SSD. So they were actually included. So that's kind of nice because they fit on rather well. But not only have you got the speaker, the hex bolt adapter, and the little cloth, they've also thrown in some really long fan screws, which is very, very interesting. So if you've got a radiator, you can fit these fans to it using these really long. So that is an attention to detail that I wouldn't expect on a case that costs 60 quid. So yeah, now what I'll do is I'll put the side panels on, and then we'll have a look at what it looks like with the side panels on, because obviously with them off it's not, you don't get the full effect. But if I flip it up like this, you'll see that there's no strut there, so it's complete. So working in it is an absolute joy. This shroud here isn't removable. I haven't undone these, but I suspect that bit pops off as well, so that you can get access to the cables inside. So it's a little bit cramped underneath, but everything fits in. So yeah, I'll get the side things on and you will see what it looks like. And there it is. It's really nice. For 60 quid, it's incredible. I've got Evo XL looking a bit, shuffling its feet over there, looking a bit upset with itself, because this is a 60 quid case and the Evo XL wasn't 60 quid, was it? They're about 250. So this is, yeah. So anyway, I'll stop enthusing about it. It's actually a really nice case. This is actually down here, this is mesh. So that obviously gives airflow as well. You can see through it. So I've stuffed a few cables in there and they are visible, so maybe I might move those just to hide them a little bit. But yeah, on the whole, this is great. If you've got any comments, stick them in the comments. Liking and subscribing is appreciated. I didn't fully unbox that. Someone else unboxed it and brought it in because they were having a nightmare with a PC they were assembling. But because I hadn't seen the case before and I was quite excited to discover what it was like, I thought I'd make this video. So yeah, if you've got any comments, stick them in the comments. Liking and subscribing is appreciated. And thanks for watching.